I am joined by Chanel Perry, my sister, and Kaya Duff. She's not my sister. But we're friends, and we work together. She's a registered kinesiologist. She's doing great here. What's up, people?
Hey, it's good to see you.
We see each other all the time. Don't act like we don't. Yeah, I just flew in. So we're going to talk about all kinds of health stuff. I know Chanel's got something on the go. That's why I reached out. Okay, talk about this. You're contributing a chapter to a book.
Yes.
Read us it.
Well, it's not done yet.
What's the book called?
So it's part of a series called Collective Voices. So this is volume 4. We don't have a title of our actual book yet.
Okay, but it's part of a series.
It's part of a series. So this is the 4th volume, and there's 5 of us, and we're each writing a chapter.
That's 5 chapters.
That's right. I actually don't know if there's going to be like any additional chapters written by anyone else, but I just know there's 5 of us women working on it together. So yeah.
And what's the series about?
So every volume has had a theme.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't. This one is pretty much.
Well, we'll brainstorm.
Sorry?
We can brainstorm.
Sure, we can just come up with stuff. Everyone has to rewrite their chapters.
We'll just base it on yours.
Sure.
Then you don't have to rewrite yours.
No, so mine is. I don't want to get into too much detail. But,
okay, no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But I'm writing about childhood illness and also tying in suffering and how to use your suffering, like turning a negative into a positive. So how to use your suffering for good, how to help others. And I kind of go into a little bit about why it's important to me, experiences in my life. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm super excited for it to be.
So you wanted to do this for a while? Like
Yes.
This was something like a passion or a dream?
I love to write.
That's
I
good.
love to write. I also have another secret writing project on the go, working with another publisher, so I'm not going to drop anything about that yet.
That's a nugget.
Yeah, so lots of stuff happening all at once, but yeah, it's I've always wanted to write since I was a kid. So I never knew when it would actually happen, but it's all happening now and at once.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
What have you discovered in this process?
It's hard
Tricked ya.
Yeah, no, it's hard because I've discovered a lot that's led me to this process, and I think has prepared me for this process. So I'm kind of applying what I've learned over the years, but working with these 5 women, like every Thursday we meet on Zoom. We have a Zoom meeting, and we discuss our writing process. And our mentors, these 2 women that are helping us self-publish, they ask us thought-provoking questions and things that'll help us stay focused on our writing and create the proper environment to write. And the conversations that we have, like, we don't want to hang up. We want to just keep going. Like, we learn so much from each other. Everyone's real. Like, everyone is like, I feel a little insecure. I don't know if my story's good enough, or, somebody else might have gone through something more traumatic. Why is my story important to share? And it's really cool. So I'm kind of applying things that over the year, I guess with age and just where I am in life, like, you kind of grow out of that certain insecurities and competitiveness, and you kind of just are focusing on yourself and bettering yourself.
Yeah, doesn't matter what someone else is doing.
Right, like, I actually told the girls last week, I'm like, listen, none of us know what each other's writing. So how can you be competing with someone or having these thoughts when you don't know what the other person's writing? So those are just thoughts that we have in our head.
Imagine one of them's writing a cookbook.
Sorry? It's all recipes.
And she's like, this is deep.
Yeah.
I'm making an omelet, and these guys are talking about...
Her omelet recipe is better than my traumatic life story. No.
People are like, sometimes you got to break some eggs. And she's like, it's a metaphor for life. And it's like,
wrong.
Yeah, see?
What's that?
So what about the trauma of realizing you've been making an omelet wrong?
That's a little bit cynical. We're trying to have a serious conversation.
All these years.
There's no wrong way to make an
No,
omelet.
but apparently there is. Oh, it was
Gordon Ramsay?
No, it was scrambled eggs. My mom came to me with this like scrambled egg recipe.
You were doing it wrong?
Yeah, like I don't know, you get everything together and then at the very last second, that's when you beat the eggs or whisk the eggs, and if you do it too early, then they're not as fluffy.
Oh, that's news to me.
I pre-fluffed my eggs.
So anyway, that's how that goes.
So I meant
So I
once you crack them,
I might just rewrite my chapter and use a recipe.
I think we should start our own book.
There we go. I'd be so down for that.
Yeah. This is almost a good point to end, but these tables are heavy. I'm not quitting just yet. So Kai, you chimed in just at the right time. What do you say? I mean, you've been you are a project person.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
I think hearing a little bit about the process that you've been going through, and even just hearing you like reflect now how much of that just applies to real life, like these thoughts that we have to compare trauma or, you know, compare things like that. Like what if what I'm going through is not enough to be valid?
Right.
I think a lot of people have been feeling that way, especially over the past couple of years with, you know, everyone just sort of being in this heightened emotional state. Like, is what I'm going through, is me feeling isolated as, you know, important as what other people are feeling, or should I be talking about this? And I think that's something that's really important, because at the end of the day, we can't go around complaining, comparing about our life complaints. Like everybody has the right to feel how they feel, and comparing that, I think, just adds to your own trauma. When it can be helpful, I think, to hear other people's stories and other people's, you know, process of healing and things like that, but also recognizing that you're an individual, and why a life experience might be different for you is important.
Yeah.
I think it's what you said there was interesting, because when someone hears another person's trauma or story, if you're going to compare it to yours, that's a kind of a very elementary kind of way of assessing something. It's like, well, I went through worse, or well, that's way worse than mine. Yeah. And then then you're like, oh, then I shouldn't complain. Right. It's not really a comparison. It's like that person has a different experience. What they can handle is different. What you experience is different. How you perceive it, how you took it on. So I think part of the healing process is just taking from other stories what worked for them, and like the wisdom that was gleaned from it, as opposed to, I'm way tougher than these people. I need a tougher Reddit group.
Yes.
I need some real trauma.
Yeah.
I think there are times where comparing can be a way of, let's say, handling or getting through a situation. Like, if you're going through something and you're just devastated, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. I think comparing and thinking like, okay, there's people worse off. Like, if somebody says, oh, I missed a sale at the mall or something, and it's like, there's people that don't have shoes, you know? Like,
well, they missed it too.
Jason. Oh my God.
Every day.
37 years.
43.
But I think everything within context, you have to know when. I think it's a lot of self-reflection. You have to know when you're comparing to be jealous or envious, or to kind of self-sabotage, be like, I'm not good enough, or I'm worthless. Yeah. Or when it's like, you know what, I should know better. I'm not that bad off, right? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. It's that idea of relativity. It's like, if you compare to those around you for like, in a negative sense, it's harmful. Mm-hmm. If it's in a good sense, like, okay, you know, as a benchmark or a gauge, it's like, okay, well, like, I'm somewhere in the middle. I can live with that.
Yeah. Never to the point where you think you're better than anyone. You know?
Well, that's a different kind of comparison.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, never to the point where it's like, oh, at least I'm not like that. You know? Like, that's not good either.
You never want to be looking down on someone.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's not the goal.
Just took a turn. This got deep.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting thing, because a lot of people I don't know if they realize, but they do compare themselves. They're comparing
We all
to
do it.
visually, superficially, internally, whatever we perceive, because the world is so like minuscule in terms of like connectivity, because everyone, like, you can contact someone around the world instantly and you can see what they're doing. But they only
Exactly.
post the cool stuff.
Yep.
Right.
They never post when they're like, you know,
The reality.
sick,
Yeah.
throwing up.
Yeah. Who takes a selfie when they're
I mean,
hugging
I
the
see them.
toilet?
There are some strange
There are-
things out there.
I mean, there
But,
probably
but it's
is.
almost like they're bragging about it. Like, what a crazy night.
You know, like you've probably seen pictures of people online and they're crying, they're in tears,
Oh,
or they're
yes.
taking a
Hate
video.
that.
Different. I've never once. Maybe I'm an ugly crier. I don't know. I don't pull out my phone.
No, usually the ugly criers, it's not like they're crying like gracefully, like they're in a Gone with the Wind. No, they're like,
Like, no, it's not.
text
nice.
me,
Yeah, I don't do it.
send me some emotes to show me you support my feelings.
I just
think
feel
that's
like
weird.
when I'm in the moment and I'm that sad, I'm not thinking, hold on, let me take a picture so I can
Right.
show other people. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't given it much thought. But I don't know to what extent that
Well,
that's
wait.
actual realness if you're stopping to take a picture.
Yeah, I think if you have to do this as you're crying, because we can see that there's one hand missing in the shot, and you don't have a film crew with you. Like, don't cry on camera
Yeah.
unless you're getting paid.
Like, there's nothing wrong with crying. And there's
No.
nothing, like, if...
And there's nothing wrong with cameras. The two don't go together.
I mean, if somebody else is filming you and you are telling a story and you start crying, that's one
Okay,
thing.
yes,
But
that's
to take,
true.
But to take...
But like if you're like
hold on,
recording
let me
yourself,
take a
unless you're doing like it's something like there was a movie where this guy like he was gonna like he had a young son, he was gonna die, so he was teaching his son how to like shave and to do like how to talk to women. He was recording it, and he would cry, so that
Oh,
was
that's-
touching.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
The
that's
Office.
different.
That conversation.
Why do you think The Office copied that?
I was going to say, that's not The Office.
You were that moved. You would be.
Jason was the one crying.
That
I learned how
topic-
to shave watching that show.
It reminds me, like several months ago, of a model that was posting on Instagram about her struggle with depression. And, you know, there were a lot of photos of tears and just, you know, sad days. And her purpose of that was, let me share with the audience that I have to show them, like, every day is not what it seems.
Right.
And I can see why that would be really important, I think, especially for someone with maybe like a really young following, like other young women, to see like, yeah, she's a model. She's walking in Paris right now.
Yeah.
But every day is
She's crying in Paris. Poor her.
maybe, like
Sorry, is that the cynical side of me? It's like she's a beautiful model crying on a photo shoot by the Eiffel Tower. But,
But-
she has bad days too.
but she does, and she's had a long.
Her baguette was hard.
burnt croissant.
Yes.
But like,
Yes, her
but, you know,
beret fell on the ground and got
is-
dirty.
It's not all roses.
it's not,
Yeah.
and I think
That's quite a
that
few roses there.
is important. But
Kai was a
maybe-
bad example. Sorry, I didn't know where this was going to go, and obviously we went the route of it's a Friday. It's not Friday.
No.
This is how Friday feels on Monday.
Yeah, it's good.
But sorry,
But you know,
I can relate.
yes.
And then there's people who do the opposite. They look like they're perfect and happy all the time.
Yeah.
Little do you know that they're not in Paris.
My favorite example is comedians. I
They're
feel
all
like
messed up.
most of them are depressed,
Yeah.
and that's how they deal with whatever situation.
You know, I have a weird theory. I think the fact that they're telling jokes and laughing all the time, maybe it depletes their serotonin faster than everyone else. Did I just create something?
I think so.
That was actually
Write it down.
that was a
That's-
smarter thought than I
That's
thought it
something to
was.
Look into.
Like excessive laughing makes you depressed.
But
Like
the-
maybe not laughing enough could do the same. Maybe you used it.
Can you really deplete
Yeah.
some like serotonin by
You
laughing
could.
too much?
Well, you can deplete it in other ways, like people who are like sex addicts.
Okay. Great example.
It was actually that's a clinical example. I mean, it's a little offside, but PG-13.
You can do the research on that and get back to.
Yeah, please let us know.
Actually, I don't think it's a bad idea.
No,
I bet I can
that's
get a
pretty
grant.
cool.
Write it down.
Write it down.
you
What's
want
with
me to
you?
write it down?
You
We'll
guys,
write it- we'll write
you
it
know
down
what?
for you.
You guys with the papers. Before we press record, everyone starts. You both write. They're both going in the garbage.
What
I
if she
promise
loses
you.
her paper? What if I lose my paper?
You're
Back up.
They're both going in the garbage.
No. Like, Daddy, date your name. Every piece of paper.
Yeah. I remember my dad, he took me, he taught me how to drive, and he had a clipboard. And if I goofed up, I would see him. I'm like, can I be like, what do you keep in score of? He goes, that's for me, not for you.
Oh, wow.
So I never got to see.
Oh, no?
No. Explained me failing the
When
first
he
time.
taught me, there was no clipboard.
What did he do? Just hit you?
Shit.
Oh, you did a good job. Oh, you're a better driver than me. Yeah.
No, Daddy was always softer with me, I think.
Oh, that's fine. That's fair.
Yeah.
I guess that's okay.
Girl.
How do we get here?
So serotonin depletion.
Due to excessive laughing.
Yeah.
Those crazy comedians.
So should we not go to that many comedy shows then?
Well, you should go, but I mean, maybe we're guilty of what's it called when you're encouraging someone to do enabling. We're enablers. You're depressed because you're doing this. It's like, well, but comedians come from being a jester, and like getting attention and being desperate for like you're you're almost like self-deprecating, so that at other people's bemusement.
I mean,
That's the cynical side of comedy.
I'm sure they're not all depressed, but I think also as their fame grows, just like any celebrity, they get into, with money comes
The scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the not so good stuff. So that doesn't help, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people, they try to live that life. They want to be part of a scene,
Right.
because it's some sense of reward, or acceptance, or that like you fit in. Is that a problem?
I think it's difficult, and I can speak to the way it sort of plays out in my line of work and in fitness. Like, it's so easy to go on Instagram and see, people have a certain body type or a certain shape, and they're like, I want to look like that. And, I think of one of my friends, like not even a year ago, telling me that she had no idea that Khloe Kardashian's hips weren't real. And I was like, what did you really think you were going to do?
She had replacements?
To get that.
What do you think, her butt?
Like, her hips are like, they go out like this. There's no hip dip, right? That's what we always hear. And like, women are so focused. A lot of women are so focused on
inflatables. What are they shoved in there?
I think
like fillers.
I think it's like fillers.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know because I don't have them, but I'm assuming that's how you would make that area not go straight down and rather out and around like a bubble.
Some people just are structurally different, and you
that's
want
structurally different.
That's fine.
But when you, I think, can't see the difference between what is, somebody that worked out really hard or eats right, and then the difference between someone who gets a lot of procedures and denies it,
right?
It's really skewing the way people think that they should look given what they're doing. Like, client sets these goals, wants to look like this, does all the work to look that way, and is not getting there because something is missing, and we're not seeing that missing piece on social media because celebrities don't go out on social media and talk about the procedures that they're going to have.
Right.
They show you everything else. They're 30-minute workouts at 5 a.m.
Well, I think this is highlighting the issue of like you're taking on, let's say, personal training, but with your eyes on the end goal.
Yes.
It's like, I want to look like this. It's like, well, you're not a lump of clay that we can just like
mold,
shift pieces here and there. I would just say, let's train for 6 months and see where you end up.
Right.
Yeah, I said I would tell them you're going to be very impressed and excited with what you see, but it won't be what you imagined.
Yes.
Right.
Because a lot of people are going to be like, I want to look like a 6 foot, 110-pound model, and it's like, you're 5'2". We're not.
I told you that in confidence.
I don't remember that. I think maybe you told someone else. Now you told everyone.
But it is hard being 5'2". And it is just kidding. And it is I think it is hard.
5'2" is like the new 5'8".
That's false. coming from 5'2",
There's a lot
that
of
is
benefits from being
But you're
short.
like I'm gonna say something
shorter.
sexist, but you're a girl, so it's cool. If it's a guy,
Well, depends on
you wear heels
what you're
everywhere.
used to. I don't know.
I don't know. My sister is like 5'8", so
I think that's a rivalry thing.
Yeah,
you just
but I feel like
compare. Does she have straight hair?
no. But the genes could have been shared a little more equally. That's all.
But they would be long on
There's
you.
beauty in both.
She
That's the
absorbed
way I
all
see
of the height genes. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is the process of goal setting too, right? Like the way people want to look at things. Should they be looking at, where other comedians got in their life when they think like, okay, this is the career or the journey I want to embark on.
A comedian could be like, I'm really funny and I like doing this. I'm going to just do it. They shouldn't go, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be in movies and everyone's going to want to come to see my shows. Those people fail for sure. I watch a lot of like Twitch streamers that play video games online. The ones that do well and they give advice to like up and comers, they're like, don't try to be famous. Don't try to get like 1,000 followers. Don't have these aspirations of success. Just do it because you like it.
Right.
And if you're good at it, great.
You don't
And
have to
you'll-
force it.
The potential and the success will come as it should.
Yeah.
Because you want to be rotten at something and be successful, that sucks too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bad actors that are successful and
That's
they don't
true.
belong and they know it.
Yeah.
Because they'll get called out in interviews and they're like, I don't know.
Oh, no.
They keep throwing money at me. What do you want me to say?
It's true. When you have to force something, it's just not the same. The outcome isn't the same. The sustainability of it
Right.
isn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we should be, I guess, focused on the process, the steps, and maybe have an idea of where you want to be.
For sure.
Like if
Something
you're
to
doing
work toward.
fitness or you have a project,
Yep.
like completion should be the success. I
Yes.
have a good example. I had an old patient and he was very, very hardworking and it was in like construction and he would just kill like so many hours and people would be like, well, how do you survive? Like, I mean, no one else can do that. And his response is like, when the project is over, that's my set point. That's like my reward. And then it's almost like everything is, there's a sense of completion.
Right.
Then he changed work and he was like almost like a government job. So similar line of work, but there was no completion point. There was no end point of these projects. It
Right.
was like an ongoing, got very depressed
Yeah.
because that same work ethic was there, but the reward wasn't.
Right.
So the reward for him was, I see that it's finished.
Yes.
I can kill myself with the work, but unless there's something that's like, okay, and I get this back,
Right.
then there's no meaning to it.
Yep.
So you have to have some kind of meaning in what you're doing,
For sure.
as opposed to, I just can't wait for the end, because the ending may not be what the whole point of it was. Maybe the process was the
True.
point.
And it's funny because that's one thing that a few of us in our like writing group keep talking about is how, I can't wait to see our book. I can't wait to hold my book in my hand. But at the same time, we also say, but I don't want this to end. Like I love meeting every Thursday and I love the excitement of, a lot of us in the shower, an idea comes to us. It's like, can't wait to get out of the shower and write down my idea. So that it's just the process, right? So I think there's a balance. You have to enjoy what you're doing and have that end goal in sight. And you know what? As you're going through the process, sometimes the goal changes, right? So there, just kind of go with it. Allow things to progress, put your effort in, and have an open mind.
Well, I think this is truth, but if we translate that to like other things that people do, like exercise or health, or you okay there, Valerie? We're boring you putting your chapstick on? You're on camera. Actually, the camera just. Yeah, you're okay. And then I see her just staring off at the beach. That's what I like about Valerie. Focused. All right. So, but people get caught up in like they want to accomplish something. I kind of lost my train of thought, to be really honest.
Too.
I looked over. She threw me off. Anyways, well,
I
okay.
think something interesting that you mentioned was the goals shifting. And that's something that I try to help people to understand. Like I do a lot of, explaining SMART goals, make sure they're specific, measurable, is it attainable? And then is it relevant, right? am I going to continue working towards the same goal if it's no longer relevant to what I need right now? That doesn't really make
Smart.
really make sense, right? So let's shift it then to something that is a little bit more relevant right now. And things in your life change. Your school schedule might change, your work schedule, just, different things might change in your life that's no longer relevant. Like maybe it was something like you were working in the office and you wanted to only take the stairs. Now you're working from home. Like, are you going to walk up the 4 steps in your house up and down every day? Like, is it still relevant, or can we shift this to something else?
Right.
Yeah, people can become creatures of habit.
Yes.
And they just do it mindlessly. I've seen it when people come in with 4 grocery bags full of supplements. And I'm like, why do you have all this? I'm like, I just keep taking it. And then someone else, I went to the health food store and they told me to take this. And then I read this. And then you told me to take these. And then I hadn't seen you in 2 years, but I kept taking them. And it's like, but at some point, like, when do you reevaluate what's important? Like, if it's necessary, like, I think you have to keep on evaluating your goals and the process there, because like after a while, like, I mean, it does change.
Yes.
Like, don't just keep being a creature of habit. Like sometimes it's like, do I still need to do these things? Because it could be excessive.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that comes from people not being comfortable or being afraid to change, because it's like, well, everything's working okay. Why do I need to change something now? Like, it's okay. You can, there's different supplements, or there's, different exercises or different forms of training that you can do. And sometimes when you hit a plateau, that's the best thing to do, right?
Switch it up. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
well, people don't do well with plateaus. I think that's actually what I was leaning towards before talking about is in the process, sometimes they're like, they haven't hit where they want to be, and they get discouraged and they get fed up. And it's like, this doesn't work. Give me something else. Give me something harder. Give me something more strict. It's like, well, maybe you've exhausted, or you've reached the limit of what this was taking you to, but like, that doesn't mean throw everything out.
Right.
Maybe that means you have to, like, for me, it would be cardio. Like, I hate cardio, but like, maybe I've reached the limit. At some point I reached the limit in terms of like weightlifting. And it's like, now I'm just hurting myself because I don't feel it when I'm lifting lighter weight.
Yep.
And then like, I resisted like doing the cardio side, which was probably what I should have been doing.
Yeah.
So kind of like getting people to self-reflect and be like, but why are you doing this? Like you had said, it's like, is this what you want? Like, is that the trajectory we're still on? Because some people get lost on the path, and they keep on, like, they have an eye on the end, and they keep an eye on the past, but they're like kind of losing sight of where they are now.
What do you think about, when to ask for help? Like, do you think that people...
At every step. No, not every... I mean, I think people should ask for help when things get boring, or they forget why they're doing it, or maybe it's not... Like, it's just more energy being exhausted than the gains being realized.
Right. Also good to just talk about what you're doing, what you're working on.
Well, you should have always someone you check in with. Like, if you're training, have a personal trainer. Like, you don't have to go see them every day. Yeah. But check in. Like, I've had some people recently that they wanted like a program. It's like, okay, talk to this person, do a program. But in a month, you're coming back, and we're going to see where you're at, how this program is working for you. Like, if I give someone a protocol, I'll be like, I'm going to see you in 4 weeks. But don't come back in 4 weeks saying, after a week, I stopped taking everything because it hurt my stomach. It's like, tell me day 2. That way I can change it. How many times I tell people, no one ever emails me back. I'm like, I want an email from you next week. Like, okay.
Oh, no.
Then they don't bother. Very rarely.
yeah.
I think people just are like, just keep doing it. Or they just stop doing it.
Or they just don't. Yeah.
It's an accountability thing. When you know you have to check in, or somebody's waiting on you, then that pressure is there a little bit more to perform, to follow the routine or the supplements or the diet, and then people get discouraged if they have even just one off day or one off meal, and then they feel guilty or embarrassed.
Yes.
And
but that's where
I want Dr. Jason to get mad at me.
But I don't.
No, and I know you don't.
But and they have to
afraid, right?
They shouldn't be. And even though I tell them, like, listen, like, even if you cheated once a week, it's no big deal. It does. But people have. I think it's an issue of not that they're afraid I'm going to scold them. I think people have an all or nothing mindset. They're like, I need to be so strict because if I cheat once, I might as well not have done any of this at all in the first place. And then they regress. Yeah. It's like, okay, you had wings and a burger. I do that. Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
And then the next day you had pizza. So what? So did I. I think I'm just telling you my lunches.
But I think sometimes people do that one cheat meal and say like, oh, nothing changed. So then I can have 2 cheat meals. And then, oh, nothing changed again. And then
no, I think it's because they feel guilty and they're like, screw this.
It's gone.
Going back.
It can be a slippery slope. And I think Dr. Jason and I, we've talked about this before. Like if someone's on a weight loss journey, like maybe those first 6 weeks or the first 4 weeks, first 3 weeks, first 2 weeks, depending on how many times we've tried this, like maybe it is really important that during that time there are no cheats. Like please do your best, adhere to it at this point, get solidified in the changes that we're trying to make here. And then as you move on, maybe there's a little bit less temptation, but you know, yeah, your niece's birthday party is coming up. You should go and have a piece of cake with your niece. Like that's, you know, that's, if that's something that's important to you and it's a value in your life, then weigh the balance of these values, right? And people shouldn't just not live because they have some set goals, but additionally, it is a slippery slope.
People have become very hard in their convictions. They're like, I just think that people are like, it's easier just to be all or nothing. And I mean, there's people who are like, in terms of their diets, they're like, I'm vegan all the way, or I'm vegetarian, or I eat only meat.
But you know what? I think that takes the guesswork out, and I think people are afraid to think for themselves.
Yes.
So
I'll just join the cult, and then whatever they say, I'm all right.
If I can just follow something, and this is off limits, okay, I can't have that. Well, no, think way.
Because then people will be like, but okay, let's say I'm vegan, but it's like, but meat's bad for you. But like, but then there's good things in it. It's like, yeah, but I'm not supposed to. And I was like, or I shouldn't, or is that, but then there's this study, and then people get hyper focused on trying to convince themselves they're right. And then they keep getting information that maybe says the opposite. Right. So now they're like,